and the blindness that is in front of us. So we have, and hopefully you have, bottles labeled from 1 to 8 in front of you, with a QR code, which I can't remember which YouTube video I put on that. I'm sure it's super interesting and funny. But we have 2 stickers on the label. The top one blinds everything else. On the reveal round, you can peel that off and see what is below to see what the actual bourbon is. We will do this in 2 rounds, like we do all Blinded by Bourbon tastings and Scotch Malt Whiskey Society tastings. We'll nose them, taste them together from 1 to 8. Keep some in your glass for the second round. We'll do a poll in between just to keep ourselves honest on what we like and what we don't like, and then we'll see how dishonest we were when that changes on the second round, and we reveal what those bottles are and how much they're going to cost. We don't even put the ABV on, which I totally forgot about. So be careful when going into some of these bottles. The highest ABV tonight is north of 60%. I think we do start on the lower end, but most of the bottlings tonight I think are 50 and up. But let's dive in with the fun on whiskey number 1.
All right. I'm happy that I cannot remember the order we selected.
Yeah.
So I'm as blind as everyone else is. Oh.
I remember what this one is.
I was just gonna say,
checking
I remember the nose.
I really like the nose on this one. It goes into this weird sort of like green, sort of like Concord grape or grape juice, white grape juice note right now for me. A little bit of grapefruit in there as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say melons for me is a big
Melons is a
one.
good call.
And not so much corn, but there's like a sweet grain to it, which is nice.
Mhm.
A little spicy. You can smell
Yeah, it
it.
does have a bit of spice in there. A little bit of like I don't know. Grapes are on my mind for some reason. I had a little bit of white wine with dinner. I guess maybe that's why. But a little bit of like toasted raisin bread in there right now for me as well.
Mm. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it doesn't come off as cask strength. It's got to be more than 40%, I'd say, though.
I would think so.
Nice lushness to it. Melon and red fruit notes again coming off, a little bit of cherries. Still getting a bit of that grape note as well. A little bit toasty.
Yeah, it's definitely toasty.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
Jeff,
spices
I'm
really...
sorry you're missing out here. Yeah, that damn stat. Jeff, what are you drinking in lieu? Nice. So just a few, eh?
It's got to catch up.
That's right. Well, we call nice. We call this a lightning round, so let's dive into number 2 so we can see what we can compare it to number 1.
Oh, a bit more. It feels more standard, like more vanilla, toasty.
Bourbon-esque. Yeah.
More bourbon. Yeah. It's the one that Cam would describe as bourbon. That's like all the other bourbon.
That's right. Yeah, it does go more into like one of the standard fruit notes I find for bourbon for me is cherries.
Okay. I was getting like red apple skins.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost into like a candied apple note.
Yeah, it's got some caramel in there.
Yep. A little bit of banana.
Oh, banana. Cool. Like really green banana.
Yeah, there's this density to nose. Like it just seems like it's maybe a bit richer than the first one, or we're going into a bit more of a deep earthy tone along with everything else. Maybe higher rye or something like that. Like not full on spicy, but
Mm-hmm.
It's the palate in a different way than the first one.
It definitely does. It's heavier, goes along my palate, like just spreads out.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't seem as hot as the first one. It feels like it might be a lower ABV compared to the first one.
Hmm.
Um, it's quite pretty though. Like you get lots
It
of like
is.
dark fruit and like I like the toasted oak notes that come through.
Yeah, a little bit of a like a drier dark chocolate on the finish there.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
a if you guys are hanging around with us and you guys want to chime in with your own tasting notes on the chat, feel free.
mm,
Yeah, that's just like, again, going back to the nose, just seems denser versus the first one again.
yeah.
Going back to the
Uh,
first one on the nose versus the second one, that the first one goes into like more like snap
yes.
pea notes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very green. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, totally green. Little bit of like you're just cutting parsley out in your garden.
right. Yeah, it's fresh herbs all over, whereas the second one is just it's like it's very fruit driven in a
Very,
different way. I know you said grapes and things, raisins on the first one, but
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Still big cherry notes for me. Apple skins is still there, like you said as well. Get into candied apple,
yeah.
and underneath it, that earthiness is just like a sweet pumpernickel bread or something like that for
Oh,
me right
that
now.
yeah, I was gonna say there's some bready notes, some grain that's not helpful to anyone, but
Like
pumpernickel's a good
pumpernickel bread with a bit of honey smeared on it or something.
yeah,
It's nice.
cool. Uh I'm just gonna close the
Okay, on to number three. Wow, big change on number three there. Goes way, like the nose just seems way drier and nuttier for me.
oh wow, that's very different.
Peanut butter on potato skins right now for me. Kyle says big banana for me. I could see banana on there again.
Definitely banana for me.
Very starchy on the nose.
That's a good call, starch, because I was gonna say it's kind of like moldy, but that's not the right
Hmm.
word. But it's kind of going in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Just big notes of creamy peanut butter right now, too, for me.
There's a hint of chemical in here, like
Hmm. I cannot
some
remember what this one is.
polish. Can you see me, Evan? Because my screen just
Yep.
went black. Okay, good. I'll
Yep.
just leave it black. So I won't be able to comment on anything. I can't see you. You can see me. That's great.
I'll shout out the comments. So Kyle said big banana. Ruth and David M say Brazil nuts, perhaps. I could see Brazil nuts in there. I think that's a good call. Like not quite as creamy as macadamia nuts, a little bit starchier in style.
Yeah.
Something toasted on there as well.
I hate when you have that smell that you remember, but you can't put the words to it.
Hmm. Ooh, very different on the palate versus the first two. Kyle says I get not real banana, but more of that fake banana like you'd get in the kids' penicillin. Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. This palette is different.
Yeah,
Tons of spice,
dry in
dry.
style versus like not that same juiciness as the first two.
No, it's like dry walnut skins, dry like dark chocolate
Yeah.
powder.
Even into like not dark chocolate, but like a coffee crisp bar.
But there's also on the nose this like hint of
Mm.
bubble gum
Yeah,
and like cinnamon.
bit of that on the palate too. Cinnamon's a good call. That's interesting. I feel like I'm gonna be like super surprised when we do the reel and it's like, wow, I was not getting thinking I would get this off this one.
Right. But from what I remember, there's a few things in here I've never had. So,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, I think there'll be at least a few surprises for people, which is really cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that goes into nougat in a big way there as well. Like Mars bar meets crunchy bar now for me.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, the Mars bar nougat part, for me, which is not my favorite. I don't like Mars bars at all, but definitely has that center. I'm more of a Snickers, oh, fan. Sorry.
Mhm. Jeff is just utterly shocked that there's a bourbon that you have not tried.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I told him
There's
life's a journey. Yeah.
Life's a Garden, dig it.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah. Well, I
Okay,
jumped
let's.
four.
You're on for good. Join you.
Yeah. Again, like at very different noses. Like each one is very different.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell between 4, 5, 6, or 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Hmm.
But I think this might be the darkest, although they look very much the same.
Oh, 7 and 8 look pretty dark.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, but who knows, really? This has some spicy qualities to the nose that I hmm, recognize.
This is the nose is like you've got some Earl Grey tea and you dumped like a whole package of cherry certs into it.
Yeah, I'm getting some like orange zest on here, and it reminds me
Yeah,
of Pez candies,
or Tic Tacs.
the orange Tic Tacs.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's
that's
not mint.
maybe more zest than candy on the
Yeah,
nose.
yeah,
It's kind of going like a little bit old fashioned esque.
yes,
Um,
yeah. But there's still quite a bit of cherry in there as well.
yeah, yeah, dense like not just like a maraschino cherry, but like something in Black Forest cake or something like that.
Cool.
Mm.
Mm. That's a nice round palate there. Mm.
Yeah, it kind of goes through a few different steps on the palate in a cool manner. Getting that coffee crisp again for some reason. But more fruity, like into like a dates and eat more bar.
I definitely get the dates and like raisins. Um, Even like I say it all the time with bourbon, but fig Newton, kind of like that kind of baked graham crust. Um, this is nice. I really like this. It's kind of
I
got some Dr. Pepper notes.
agreed. Jeff has a great idea, as many Jeff ideas are. He says, and I'll quote him here, it would be interesting to do one of the Scotch tastings fully blind like this. We've done
Mhm.
something similar locally, and you could and you heard inside when a dancing man outperforms a 20-year-old to Matin. Totally agreed.
Uh, I would
Maybe that's something we
love
could
to
do in
do
September.
I would
Yeah.
love to do more blinded Scotch tastings because uh, we're all so opinionated on the whiskeys that we love and cherish just based on brands. And it would be really fun to just like sell a tasting and not even tell you what it's going to be. Like we
Yeah.
usually put some hints in the tasting description, but it would be nice to just be like whiskey.
You know what we should do is we should do a blinded by Scotch, uh, OB versus IB, where it's like 4 different distilleries, uh,
Mm,
and then an official bottling against an independent bottling, and we don't reveal ABV or anything until, like we did on this one,
yeah,
until we go through it all.
but could be fun. I feel like the indies might just outperform because we're we like our alcohol at a higher strength.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a fun idea for sure.
But we could do something like maybe put a Highland Park cask strength versus an unknown Orkney or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely cask strength bottlings out there from distilleries you can work with. Yeah, that would be fun.
Jeff, yeah, stellar idea. I think there's a free spot I can think of in September where we can pencil something like that in.
Not the 10th. I'm still waiting. Just very cool. It's weird doing a tasting with you guys when I can't see anybody. I'm,
Just staring at a blank screen.
I am literally, it is black. Yeah.
I wonder what happened.
Well, the computer went to sleep because I didn't move the mouse and it just kind of never came back.
Oh, well, if you maybe you'll have to reboot or restart something if it completely goes. But so far, you're still here.
All right.
Yeah, number 4 is really good.
Yeah, we should move to number 5 before we drink it all and have nothing left for the reveal.
Agreed. Okay,
Number
number
5 is feeling a little muted for my nose.
Very much so.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like saran wrap roll on there.
I was gonna say bubble wrap because I've been unpacking.
Yeah. Something just like a little bit plasticky.
Yeah, totally. There's some fruit underneath it though. Like you can get some red fruit. I wonder if this one's gonna need some water. I don't usually like to do it on the first round, but
Yeah, it's like you cut up a watermelon, and of course it's so big, and you didn't have enough people over, so you couldn't finish it. So you saran wrap the rest of it, and it's this like the smell of saran wrap after you pull it off the watermelon.
is there also watermelon in this whiskey then?
I think there is a hint of it, like watermelon seeds and all.
Yeah, seeds for sure. I can get around the seeds part. Like it's interesting.
Oh, Jeff stuck drinking Bland's Gold.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Yeah. The most overrated of the unicorn bottles from what I've had. And I'm not saying it's bad. I just think there are much better things from that distillery that are easier to get even.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot out there.
A little bit of coconut and chocolate now on this one, on number 5.
Cool. I can never find
what a weird one.
But I like the palette on it.
Yeah. Still get a bit of that. It's like you've gone through the watermelon and you're not paying attention, and now you're eating
you hit the rind.
Yeah, it's watermelon rind right now.
Cool. Well,
yeah, some like old coffee in there too, like just the dregs of coffee in the cup.
Oh, that's the worst taste, old coffee. Yeah, it's definitely got like quite a woody kind of cigar-y nose to it. Like it's not as
this is the
of
the lineup so far. This is the one of these things is not like the other bottle, I would say.
Totally. It's more earthy and woody. And a little bit tight, closed nose. I added a drop of water and it did make a difference, but for me it's mostly like cigar and vanilla and like very
cigars are a good call.
Cold. Yeah.
Okay, on to number 6. Jeff,
thick, slow legs. Really thick.
Jeff is saying, I died at Hayden Block this weekend because of all the unicorns I had on the shelf. I wanted to just try them to say I have, but I was positive I could get better pours for significantly less than Pappy 12. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, the painful thing is you only went to one of their chains. Like all their bars
Yeah.
are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they all have great stuff.
Hayden's still my favorite of the blocks, though.
Yeah, but they don't have those delicious pulled pork nachos that Comrie Block has. That
That's fair.
those nachos got me through COVID, I swear to God. Mm. This is different. This is very, very different. More like
Mhm.
licorice and spice, like
Candied
green
orange rind
pepper.
or dry, like a dried orange, like dehydrated
Oh,
orange slice that they put on a cocktail. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I get green peppers too.
Yeah, that's a good call. There's something like a little bit burnt in there too.
Okay, cool. Hmm. I'm wondering, did we do that thing that we do where we throw a rye in our bourbon sometimes?
Sure tastes like we did.
It tastes like we did.
Yep. It's got a really nice, like slightly drying but juicy style.
Hmm.
Ruth and David say dried fruit and cherry notes. Little bit of like a mint hit at the finish there. Like
Yeah,
especially if you breathe in, like it's got just a fresh mint, like you just chewed on a mint leaf note to it.
very nice. Yeah, I was even getting like
Mm.
a little bit of basil, like fresh
Mm.
basil on there.
Yeah, there's a through note between basil and licorice for me, and fennel
Okay.
notes sometimes.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got some licorice earlier on in the nose.
mhm.
Mm,
Even like a bit of like heat note or spiciness of like an oregano in there.
very cool.
Yeah. Apparently they made this bourbon from pizza as one of the grains.
Distilled pizza.
That's right.
I would try that if it was a thing.
I think this might be my favorite note so far. That orange note in there with the cherries and the mint notes in there too, and the
Hmm.
bit of licorice. Licorice is a really good call. Mm.
Very cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
on to number 7.
Yeah, this is, I think 7 could be the darkest. I don't know. No, maybe 8.
We're back to
Oh,
artificial notes.
oh yeah.
I feel like if I put my nail in this, it's going to come out polished.
That's a really good note. It to
There
me,
there's a
it's
big nail polish or acetone note in there.
absolutely, it's like the really fat felt whiteboard markers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even the whiteboard eraser, like it's all
Yeah.
dried and dusty.
Yeah. Uh, Going into a little bit of epoxy too, like a little bit gluey notes in there.
Yeah, but there's still that I don't know why, but I'm getting like that pink, like bubblegum kind of juicy fruit tones
Yeah.
underneath.
Bubblegum for sure, juicy for sure. Um, if Brian was here, he'd be saying banana runts right now. This has that artificial banana and penicillin note again, I think.
Hmm. It definitely does. As
Yeah.
someone who took,
Kyle will have to tell us if you agree or not.
I took penicillin twice a day for 20 years. Is the grossest thing. And they used to crush it in bananas. And then I didn't eat
Oh,
bananas until my 30s. But it definitely has that trigger of memory for me.
so uh, Kyle says I concur. I got cherries at first, but it's not coming back now.
No, there's something else in here. I can't wait to do the second round, and I'm gonna put water in some of these just to see if it helps.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Wow, that palette is wild. Like it's almost a, so I have not eaten nail polish that I'm aware of, but the nail polish aroma is on the palate as well.
You know what it kind of tastes like to me? And like, if you haven't eaten nail polish, but
Hmm.
used to chew your nails, there used to be a nail polish you could put on your fingernails that tasted
To stop you
awful
from,
to
yeah.
stop you from chewing. And my I had it when I was a kid. I used it once, never used it again. I would rather chew my nails right till they bled than ever put that on. But there is like a trigger of that memory in here. But there's still like a
Hmm.
ton of fruit as
There
well.
is. It's a wild bottling.
Yeah. And I feel like the cask strength on this is going to be really high,
Yeah, I
or at
think
least
so.
I hope so.
There's some like grape chewing gum or even into Big League Chew on the palate there.
Get grapes. Yeah. The grape Kool-Aid
It's
underneath.
it starts juicy, but it finishes dry. Like there's a good amount of wood going on there.
Hmm. Yeah,
Wild stuff.
and again, there's still that kind of minty eucalyptus type of
Hmm.
vapor
Agreed.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even a little bit of that candied orange note on the finish
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Leathery.
Very. Yeah.
Uh, Ruth and David say added 2 drops of water and definitely got the grape bubblegum notes. Cool. I'm gonna add water the second time through just for kicks.
Me too. I think it wouldn't hurt. Oh, there's yeah, grape Kool-Aid powder, not even the
Nice.
Kool, just the
Yeah.
powder. Yeah.
Oh, I'm on nosing number 8 now, and number 8 is so grain driven.
I'm getting green peas on this one.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Like
It's
fresh.
it's it's like dusty malts and grains that you're just about to put together in a mash.
Cool.
Can almost like feel the crunch of like grist in between my teeth.
Right. I was gonna say I can feel the powder of it. Just you gotta blow it off
Yeah,
once you
yeah,
pour the grains in.
yeah. It totally has that. A little bit of porridge notes in there.
I was just gonna say, like, oh my God, what is the porridge? Like, it's not the it's the chunky porridge. It's not the little grain. It's like all chunky. Dang it. Brain, come
Not
on.
sure what not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Somebody knows what I'm
That just sounds like Dale Old porridge to me.
talking about. Well, no, you know, when there's like the porridge and it's like the actual grain and you can see the little black
Hmm.
vine. But then there's another type of porridge where it's kind of like
Mm.
just grist like. It's not the grain, and I forget what it's called. My dad used to
Kyle
love it.
says Jeff says asks cream of wheat, or and Kyle says spelt.
Never had
Well,
spelt.
this kind of reminds me of, and probably because Cam had just mentioned it, the Matty Gladden, where it's like chocolatey and toasty and very grain driven. The Matty Gladden had a bit more fruit and spice going on.
Yeah, this has got some like peppery notes that I haven't found in the other ones.
And right now, and I know it's not, but and Jeff, you're gonna have to tell me what you think when you get your kit here. But Amberana, right now, that cigar like sort of like beech nut smokiness to it.
Mm, totally.
David says Red River cereal is maybe what you were thinking about.
Mm-mm. As soon as I figure it out, I'll put it on Instagram and be like, these oats.
Wow. Well, you can definitely tell with this lineup that I didn't taste everything beforehand and set it in a correct order.
Amazing.
But it's a fun ride. Before we do the vote, I'm just gonna go back and nose everything again, just for kicks. Jeff says you've already done a Huber's, which is the Amberana one that I was thinking of, and I think there's went more apple pie, from what Jeff says. Yeah, I think you're right on the Amarana. The first one right now is just like,
It's so muted to me
yeah,
now.
it's Earl Grey tea with a dose of vanilla to it on the nose.
Cool. I'm gonna put a
Hmm.
drop in all my whiskey because it can't hurt.
Number two is just cherry certs all over the place right now. A little bit of orange peel in there, maybe too.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very Twizzlers or nibs to me.
It's gonna be a tough one to pick favorites on.
Yeah. All right, what's three got for us? It's
Peanut
all
butter still.
polish. To me, it's polish.
Polish, nice.
Ooh,
Peanut
four.
butter and peanut brillo.
Four I like.
Ooh.
Mm.
Yeah, that's getting bolder on the nose.
Yeah, it
Not like
is.
as in bolder spirits, but
Or is it?
yeah. Does have like a malty note to it though.
Mm. And like a five for me is like just like a wet bag of hay, like
Yeah.
wet burlap and everything.
Yeah, that's a good call. Burlap is a great note. That's like the burlap with the coffee, the roasted coffee beans in still. Like you use the same the burlap sack to hold the roasted beans after you roasted them.
Oh yeah. Did you get your coffee today?
Yes, I did.
New coffee mug. Hmm.
Ooh, man, six just keeps on giving. That's easily my favorite nose.
It's very pretty. There's a ton of
It
like
is.
melons and fruits on there, hey?
Yeah, that
And
that
it's kind of
orange note, but
creamy.
into like
Mm,
honeysuckle flowers right now.
very nice.
A little bit waxy.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Honeydew melon even. Very, very neat stuff. Oh, man, that number seven is just jarring right after number six.
Yeah. It gets you right in the nostrils too.
Yeah,
But I'm getting peanut butter on this one, where I'm
it's
not getting it on the other one.
it's peanut butter if you mixed in a little bit of latex paint, I think, and you're there.
Oh, right on.
Wild. Number eight.
Eight has a little bit of
So
a
grain heavy.
mezcal note for me.
Yeah, I can see that. It's
Or like
dusty grain and then these really soft fruit notes underneath.
really, I'm getting like a little bit of like ricea, like a tiny hint of cheese.
Nice.
Yes.
I could see the cheesiness.
Yeah, that's cool. I like these. I can't wait to find out what we picked.
Yeah. Well, I'll see if I can find the vote now that I've updated the Zoom thing here and everything's in a different spot all of a sudden again. Polls and quizzes.
Well, maybe I'll sign out and sign back in while they're voting.
Sounds good.
And I can see you guys because oh, I see the vote. That's cool.
Nice.
Okay,
I
signing off.
wonder
Be
if
right back.
it's press Alt Tab and see what you get.
Alt tab.
Yeah. Does it bring up a list of windows?
Oh, oh, yeah, but they're all black.
Oh, nice.
That's fun.
Yep.
All right, BRB.
So what's that?
I said BRB.
Sounds good. Um, so I don't know. Feel free to try or feel free to chime in with your favorites while the polls are going on here. My favorite nose is by far number 6. Probably followed by number 1. There's something about number 1 I'm really enjoying right now. Jeff voted number 8 and 8 just because the best are always last. Good call there, Jeff. Phil and Savannah say I voted for 7 by accident. I don't like the smell and I don't like the taste. Well, can't take that one back. Maybe on the second round, Phil and Suzanne. Yeah. 7 is hot and harsh to me. Says Brent. 8 contrasts, so balanced and smooth. Yeah, some good notes here. And Eugene's, yeah, you got a rapid fire since we've already done our lightning now round, Eugene. What are you on right now and what do you think? Get Harmony as co-host here again. Ruth and David say I like 4 and 8, but 6 is a close third. Nice, nice. And Harmony, once you're back, we'll have to get your favorites before we go on here to the reveal. Kyle says, I haven't added water. Might have a second opinion in the end. 1 and 3 were all very similar, and 4 was so different for me that it really stuck. I really stuck to it. And on that note, I like the oat notes on the 3. Very nice. Harmony, before we do go into the reveal, what are your favorites? 2 favorites so far?
Well, the noses just keep changing, which is really unfair. But initially 4 and 6 really stuck out for me. And now 2 on the nose, I really like.
Nice. Yeah, 2 is getting better and better on the nose, I feel. Still like prototypical bourbon notes on the nose, but in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there isn't one in this lineup that I don't like.
Sounds good. Well, I'll end the poll, share the results on this one just for kicks. And maybe take a picture just so we can get this for the second round and see how everything's changed. But one of my favorites, which was number 1 on the nose so far, didn't get a vote on first, did get on the second. It is a tie for first place between 4 and 6 so far. And then second favorite wins, 7 wins by just a little bit there. Cool. Oh, tied with 8.
Oh, it's tied with 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay. Well, let's dive back into number 1 and see how things have changed, and we'll do the reveal at the same time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some water, just freshen my palate. All right, back to 1.
Yeah. And if you guys want to peel as we're the stickers back as we go along, go for it. I'll share the tab as we're going along, or the web page for it as we're going along here too.
Who labeled these? Was this Sammy?
Yeah.
He's very thoughtful with the pre-tab.
I know that was super smart.
Yeah, I prefer.
Actually, I think it was Natalia, but I think Sammy showed her to do that, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I kind of like the am I too drunk to peel this off? Why isn't it unpeeling moment?
Kyle says, thank God I just cut my nails. I hear you, man.
Mine all broke while I moved, so.
Yeah. This has got a little bit of like lime going on right now in a cool manner for me.
Cool.
Like just a squeeze of lime over everything.
I'm starting to kind of get that grape note, but it's more, yeah, it's still got some like nice spices to it. And funny, it felt so fragrant on the first pass, and now after all of that, it feels so muted in comparison.
Well, before we do the reveal, Jeff is asking how the move went, Harmony.
It's over. That's all I have to say. Thank
Mhm.
God. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have 2 boxes left that need unpacking. Yeah.
Nice.
Everything's done. Yeah. Yeah. And a patio furniture set to give away.
Right on.
I was gonna give it to Chelsea and she's like, I'll pick it up around 5. And then she texts me at 5:30. I bought new furniture. I was like, dang it. But I forgive her because she transferred her parking pass to me today. So
Nice.
I covered till December.
Okay, so here is number one. This for me is kind of the bottle that was one of the decision makers on one of us doing the blinded by bourbon tasting coming up.
Yeah.
Because Harmony and I both tasted this one and we're very pleasantly surprised with it. This is Redemption wheated bourbon. So Redemption is not a distillery. They don't have their own distillery. They source barrels and bottle themselves. This is the wheated bourbon mash bill from MGP Distillery, which is a hefty 45% winter wheat in the mash, 51% corn and 4% malted barley. Just goes to show there's another thing that MGP does really well, not just regular bourbon, but wheated bourbon as well. They can do high rye, they can do high wheat, they can do amazing rye on its own, or 95% rye. What can't they do? But man, $78, and I think I would take this over Maker's Mark any day of the week for a wheater. I tend to like Maker's Mark, but this kind of veers much more into what I would expect to get from like Weller
Yeah.
in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
That grapey note specifically really reminds me of Buffalo Trace for some strange reason. But your mileage may vary, but for $78, I think that is a great wheated whiskey or
I
wheated
agree.
bourbon.
It has a lot to offer and quite a bit of diversity and flavor and just an evolution on the palate that you don't get with some other wheated
Totally.
whiskeys. Some like when you typically think of like Maker's Mark, I mean, off the top of my head, I get like 2 tasting notes. And
Hmm.
that kind of sticks through, and it's like, oh, it's creamy butterscotch or it's creamy caramel with vanilla. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
basically all it is. And this is a wheated whiskey with a bigger personality and more to offer, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that
In a
nose is
similar
just,
price point, too.
yeah. And I should say it's what is it? It's 43% alcohol only. But drinks like it's a little more robust than that for me.
It's what
Um,
alcohol did you say?
43.
Isn't it 48?
Oh, right. That's right. That's why it is seeming a little bit more robust. It is 48%. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't do my math.
that's
I
okay.
saw 96 proof and tried to divide by two and got a blue screen there. So,
That's okay. My math is terrible. I only know because I peeled the label.
mhm. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it and enjoyed it as much as we did. I think we only have one bottle in stock right now, but this is likely going to be a staple on our shelf for a while because we are very happy with it.
Yeah, I would like to bring in other products. Like we have their standard redemption bourbon on sale
Yeah,
right now, which is awesome, like a great
yeah,
everyday bourbon.
yeah.
But I really
Their
loved
Redemption Rye is good too, but the
their
wheated is just
yeah, their rum cask rye. Is that what it was that we tried? That one was really cool. I would eventually
mhm.
like to get that on the shelf as well.
Yeah, that's very
Redemption
cool.
is solid all around. All
Okay,
right.
back to number two. I had to actually peel my
It's
sticker back
so
just to remind me
fruity.
which one it was. I thought it
Yeah,
was
what
this,
is
but
two? What is two? Of course, I love it.
yeah. So I don't have a picture of this one, but everybody will see the name and understand what it is. This is E.H. Taylor Small Batch, a bottled and bond bourbon, which is very cool, 50% alcohol. E.H. Taylor, of course, is done by Buffalo Trace Distillery, using their regular Buffalo Trace mash bill, if I remember correctly, so very high corn. Um, but they're small batch and single barrel versions, which tend to be released once or twice a year, and then we always get them way later here in Canada. I would take a bottle of E.H. Taylor over any blends any day of the week, personally. Your mileage may vary. It doesn't get the same toffee and butterscotch notes that blends do, but it's more true to like what I expect from Buffalo Trace in a good manner. Yeah, just a really good bourbon. We don't have this up for order, and we never have E.H. Taylor up for order, unfortunately, but we do have a couple bottles we squirreled away for this tasting. Email Harmony at the end, and we'll do a small, quick lottery to decide if we have to decide and choose who gets to purchase one. We do get maybe 6 bottles twice a year of the small batch. Haven't seen the single barrel for a while, which is too bad because the single barrel is always good too.
I just dropped my email in the chat. If you don't have it and you'd like to enter, just email me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love the nose on this. It's nice when you enjoy the nose of the whiskey as much as the taste. It seems to last longer. I mean, your enjoyment seems to last longer. I should say the bottle may not, but
yeah. Well, and what I like about this, and Eagle Rare is another one that I love from Buffalo Trace, which I wish we had on the shelf more often. It used to be readily available, and now it's just hard to get, just like E.H. Taylor and blends. But
I mean, apparently it's not. We just don't sell enough Fireball.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah, we'll have to do a blinded by bourbon tasting where it's just 8 Fireball and get everybody to buy that, I guess.
Yeah. 8 blinded Fireball. Yeah. We'll call it the golf pack.
Yeah.
The blinded golfer's bag or something.
Yeah. The KWM sells out edition.
The sellout, yeah.
Yeah. But there's what I like about this, and I try not to like Buffalo Trace in a lot of cases because they don't do a bad whiskey, even though I've joked about blends. They are fantastic at everything they do. They are not a small distillery, but even the regular Buffalo Trace is a great bourbon.
Yeah.
But what I like about this and Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare is that it shows that you can go pretty high corn, like 70+% corn, and get a lot of flavor still, even though you're not going for pushing the rye or pushing the wheat as a secondary grain in the same manner. There's just something about what they do where they're able to get some fantastic flavor out of their whiskeys.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing the diversity of flavors they get just with like a year or two different.
Or different layers in the rick warehouses and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the next one is a surprise to me. I'm going to try this, nose this, and taste this again before I do the reveal. This is my first time trying it.
Yeah, mine as well.
Might be yours too. Yeah, might be a lot of people's, because this is a good one, and it has their drier style, which I noticed on their regular bourbon as well.
I'm not familiar with this bourbon. I don't know if I've ever tried it, shamefully.
Yeah.
I've
had the regular one in a blind lineup once.
When products are named after movies, whether it was intentional or not, it came out in my world at the same time. It just drives me nuts. Like, I'm over
this is not a TV tie-in.
No, it's not.
This predates Yellowstone, the TV show. Doesn't predate the park or anything, but it'd be amazing if it did. There is a beam connection to this one, though.
That it tastes really great, though. Like, it does have a really nice palate to it, nice spices and nutty, toasted butterscotch, toasted caramels.
Yeah, so this is Yellowstone SBC Toasted Staves bourbon. So I think, and I haven't been able to find any specifics on this, but the way they say Toasted Staves makes me wonder if they're doing the Maker's 46 thing and mounting toasted staves on the inside of the barrel, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this is the second regular bottling that we're getting from Yellowstone Distillery, even though this is part of a special series. It seems to be readily available now. Hopefully, it will be readily available for the while. I do like the toastiness that it does bring out versus regular Yellowstone. But these guys are a pretty cool, younger, and I'd say relatively underrated distillery. They do minor case rye, which is another good one. Um, they do have a Beam connection there. There's Paul and Stephen Beam are the founders of Limestone Branch Distillery, which makes this. The distillery is now owned by Luxco, which in turn is owned by MGP. So there's a lot of stuff and bourbon connections there, which will hopefully lead to more and newer things coming out from these guys and from the whole collective there in the future too.
Yeah. They're toasted staves. Are they doing just like standard toasted American oak? Or are they exploring more like the 46 with French oak or other things?
I think this one is, I don't think it says, but my guess
Find anything.
is, yeah, it does say high toast American oak.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it does come on off more as like, it doesn't get into like the mocha cinnamon notes that Maker's 46 does.
No, it leans more into the fruit that you get from kind of like a virgin oak style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Yellowstone, Jeff is a Beth fan. I don't blame you. She's badass.
Mhm. If Jeff were to settle down, I could see him with the Beth. Yeah. And then he'd be just crying in the corner because she drinks all his whiskey like a badass.
Yeah, yeah, straight from the bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, back to number 4.
Four just is so cool on the nose.
Yeah,
Like, uh,
so toasty again right now. Lots of dark chocolate and mocha notes.
oh, mocha. Yeah.
I fell in love with this one the first time I tried it. And I'm ashamed that blind I did not pick out exactly what it was right off the hop, but
It didn't remind you of 4 hours ago?
no, it
Five
did not.
hours ago?
I have a very short-term memory apparently.
It's so grape driven for me right now.
Nice. Yeah,
And
grapes all over the place in this lineup, eh?
yeah, apparently grape's the new cherry
Hmm.
for me. Anybody have any guesses what this might be? It's not a new distillery.
No.
Eugene, do you know because you peaked or because you know because oh yeah, you peaked.
Yeah. Oh, Eugene knows his stuff too.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to believe that Eugene knows all those bottles in the background.
mhm. So this is another in the 4 core range of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series. This is the Old Forester 1910. And this is the essentially Brown-Forman doing what they do with Woodford Double Oaked and doing the same with Old Forester. Um, in my opinion, this is, well, I tend to be more of an Old Forester lover than a Woodford. So if you like Woodford, I totally understand. I just disagree. Um, this is so much
Oh,
better than Double Oaked.
this is so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I bought
Old
a
Forester
couple.
just has this juiciness that uh, Woodford cannot compare to, in my opinion.
Mhm. They just seem to have a bigger flavor profile. And
Yeah,
even though they named them these weird numbers,
yep.
there's so much diversity and things that I mean, I don't think their mash has changed too much, but uh, Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely more diverse.
Yeah. Yeah, this goes a little bit more into those chocolatey notes for Old Forester that you get a little bit of it on the 1920, but it's still a lot more like toffee and butterscotch driven for me.
Hmm.
Just that nice earthiness and pumpernickel note there still comes through. It's just another great bourbon in a lineup that's great. The 1870 is the least impressive of me, and I'd still take an 1870 any day
Yeah.
in that series. But uh, and there is another release in that series, which we might as well talk about now. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of bottles to sell because the staff have really enjoyed it, including me. This is the Old Forester 1924 10-year-old. I purchased one and
Accuracy.
yeah, but and shared some with the staff just because I wanted to try it as well. That's bottled at 50% alcohol for a 10-year-old, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it has a completely or a different mash bill than the regular Old Forester series. The regular Old Forester series, I think it's 72% corn or something like that.
Hmm.
The 1924 is higher and less rye. There's like 19% rye in the regular Old Forester mash, and then only 12% rye or so in the 1924. But we do have, I think, 2 bottles that did not get sacrificed to staff and a few other purchasers. Yes, Doug says early times mash bill. It is the old earliest times mash bill that they now use for King of Kentucky, apparently, which is another bourbon I haven't tried that doesn't
I've
come up
not.
here.
Oh,
But Early Times is a brand that Brown Foreman used to own that they sold off to Sazerac, owners of Barton Distillery, Fireball, and Buffalo Trace, and a distillery in Montreal, and Paul John Distillery in India, actually.
oh, cool.
But Early Times they sold off, but kept uh, making the mash bill, so they have other stuff to use it for, such as the Old Forester 1924 10-year-old now. Cool stuff, super dry on the palate, but like a very sort of like chewy 10-year-old bourbon with a lot of chocolate notes and your typical bourbon notes, and they're really, really nice stuff too. I honestly still prefer the 1910 though, and the
Hmm.
1920 to it.
Yeah, it's really a nice whiskey. I bought a couple of those whiskey row kits just for that bottle
Yeah,
before it was
yeah,
available here, and it's
yeah,
so good. I have one of the Mickeys like tucked away in my cabinet. I don't know if I'll ever
yeah,
drink it, but I mean, I probably
yeah.
will eventually. But
That trio of the 1910, the 1920, and the 1897 bottle and bond, so good.
yeah,
Just great bottles.
and
If
if
you guys
you're
are
not
interested,
familiar,
what's that?
sorry, I was going to say if you're not familiar with the whiskey row pack and the bottle and bond, there's still a few kits left of the
Yeah,
taster packs that we have available, and
yeah,
the
that
price.
3-pack is great and
Yeah,
priced well too.
yeah,
Um, so the 1910's readily available now, luckily, and hopefully that stays. Um, because I love having it next to the 1920 on the shelf. I
yeah.
think we only have 1 bottle left now, but we'll get more. So if you guys are interested, feel free. The 1924 that I showed, I think we have 2 bottles remaining, and that's an Email Harmony one. I think the price is like 120 or something like
I
that.
think so. Yeah, 120,
Yeah, I was looking at it online. It's actually the MSRP is 125 American. So this is actually one of the rare bourbon values that we seem to get in Canada right now, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, on to number 5, is it? We're at?
Yeah, number 5. The one that I struggled with the most in this lineup, I think. It's starting
Yeah,
to show a little bit better.
yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this one again.
I'm getting more like stone fruit and honey on this than I did the first time.
Ooh, honey's a good call. Yeah, a little bit of like buttercream frosting
Oh, cool.
or icing right now too.
Uh, I swirled that so hard when I put it up to my nose, I thought I was going to sniff it. Got scared.
Just create a funnel, a tornado of liquid to your nose.
Yeah, that would suck. Mm,
I'm curious to see what people think on this. And vote wise, I don't think it did amazingly the first time around, from what I
I
recall. I'm
don't
just taking
think
a look at the
so.
vote here.
Yeah, I don't think it got any votes. One, two,
And
three.
sadly, I mean, we have bottles and I'd like to sell it. So I hate disparaging it, but I feel like the price does not do this thing any favors,
No,
unfortunately.
and that's kind of bourbon for you, kind of in a
Yeah.
nutshell. Like the minute you put an age statement on bourbon, it's like, oh my God, we're worth so much money. When
Well,
the truth is, there's a lot of bourbons out there that have this age daily and don't advertise
mhm.
and are half the price, if not less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. And this does have an age to it. It is the oldest aged bourbon in the lineup tonight, I believe. It's a 12-year-old from Knob Creek,
Hmm.
which is, of course, from Jim Beam Distillery. And it is bottled at 50% alcohol, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm surprised again because I should be able to pick this out as Jim Beam, but it does have some Knob Creek esque notes. The peanut notes that I typically get on Jim Beam are there if I'm looking for them, but it wasn't what like
It's
really
not.
jumped out for me.
And then reading the descriptor, the producer's tasting notes, I'm not really getting what they're getting.
Yeah. The
I don't,
caramelized wood note I can get, like it
sure,
does go into this leathery note on the
yes,
nose and palate,
but
and a real
smokiness,
polished wood note. But yeah,
smokiness, no, heat,
maybe if
fine.
you're burning oak staves, it might make sense. But
Yeah, what a steal. Perfect, Kyle. There's so many for you to be sarcastic
yeah,
with if you feel like continuing that at home.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's too bad because I have had this on its own and I thought it was really nice. Um, but it, when you put it up in a lineup, things show very differently. And I don't think it would have mattered where in the lineup we put this bottle. There's a
Hmm.
lot of great whiskey out there for less.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the sad thing is I should take a look at what the price is in the US, and not to I don't want to disparage the company, but we've seen a few questionable pricing choices on a few different bottles lately. Harmony and I were talking about another one today, but
Hmm.
where in hindsight, especially if they had priced this at say 125 or
Hmm.
120,
Yeah,
I think it would be a much easier pill to swallow.
absolutely.
Hopefully some of you like that or liked it. I think it's a good bourbon. I don't know. Yeah, Eugene says I got mine for 65 US dollars. Yeah, I think it's just a case of playing with the market in Canada and maybe trying to price it up in Alberta versus Ontario or something. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, a part of me wonders if they're trying to bridge the gap in the bourbon pricing.
yeah,
Finding good bourbon under $100, no problem. Finding good bourbon at $50, not a problem.
yeah,
But that bridge from 100 to
yeah,
200 is very minimal. And
yeah.
often it's,
Name another $150 bourbon.
yeah. And if you do, if you have another one, it's probably a single cask at cask strength,
Yeah,
right?
or
Because
something with an age statement to it.
right. And I think what companies are starting to do is they're trying to just kind of hype themselves into a higher price point because the whiskey
Mhm.
industry is growing, people are
Yeah.
excited and they're, I've spent $50 for 10 years, I want to spend more and they think that by spending more they're going to get more, when
Mhm.
there's also just the companies that are self-deemed high end, self-deemed limousine quality products, and we're going
Yeah.
to price it here because we're the echelon of what people should be buying. But it doesn't actually reflect
Yeah,
product.
I totally agree. And we've seen that
And
quite a bit in the Scotch side of things too,
yeah,
where
and I'm not
it's
trying
you.
to put down this brand in any way. It's just taking advantage of the consumer.
Mhm.
is what I'm, like I've had a lot of people come in and say, oh, I want to buy a $200 bourbon. Aren't many,
Yeah,
like there are, it's that really small batch of 10,000 bottles.
yeah,
It's our small batch, right?
yeah.
But it's not the same as like what you would spend in the Scotch world. But you're absolutely right. There are brands in the single malt world that have self-deemed we're the next Macallan, we're luxury. Right off the bat, we're luxury. You have no history to prove that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jeff is really slagging us right now. He says we only have. Oh, I thought you said all of our bourbons were over $200, Jeff. I misread that. Thank you. We only had two. You were doing fact checker, Jeff, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, but
KWM only
one of
has
those,
two bourbons over $200. Yeah,
and one of them I really, really, really love.
yeah,
Really, really love. But I wouldn't spend my money.
yeah.
I'll spend Jeff's
Happily
money.
spend yours. Yeah,
Spend Jeff's. Yeah, I'll spend Jeff's
yeah,
money. Jeff, you can, yeah, that one. So good.
yeah.
You didn't like it? Oh, I loved it. Oh, I tried it at Banff Whiskey Experience, and it was the first thing I tried, and it had one of the longest finishes of a bourbon I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, not
we
that good.
Harmony really pushed to put that one in here. Rightfully so. We just didn't have the budget for it for this lineup, unfortunately.
Yeah, people aren't going to spend $80 on a blinded bourbon tasting.
Yeah,
Shame
sadly.
on all of you. Shame on all of you. I'm just kidding. All right. I got on a tangent there, but I think we're on 6.
Yeah, and I believe I know what this one is. That makes me so, so happy that in my opinion is showing so, so well.
What is it? Oh, yes. Me too, because I wanted this so bad. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. Mm. This
Yeah,
is
I tried this I originally tried this I feel like 2 MS whiskey festivals ago.
yeah, in the old
And
building, and
then
BG had the whole table with
yeah,
some cognac finishes as well.
yeah. And then sadly either it didn't come up or I forgot about it. But oh man, like
Mm.
I really like their bourbon. Their rye might even be better. Because oh man, this is killer stuff. This is a rye, as you would probably guess, based on the nose and based on our notes to it. And it is one heck of a fun rye. So this is still Austin, the artist rye, 49.8% alcohol, $95, 100% Texas grown rye, so no secondary grain in there. It
And
is 100% rye. Yeah.
unmalted rye, to be
Yep.
clear. It's very different than a lot of the ryes that we're seeing in the
Mhm.
market. And I love that about this rye. It offers
Yeah.
like a creaminess and a freshness that you're not going to find in others.
Yeah, and it does have some notes that are similar to another 100% unmalted rye in the Woody Creek.
Mhm.
This one gets into more like of a candied mint note on the
Yes.
finish.
Yeah.
It's not quite as herbaceous as the Woody Creek, which I also really enjoy. But price wise, ABV wise, it's great. I would love to try this at Cask Strength just for kicks.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's still Austin Distillery is doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Um, I have a friend in Houston that he shops bourbons for me from time to time, and I have to hoard him Blanton's because he's a good man, but he just doesn't know better. Uh, and I've asked him to send us some still Austin distillery releases as he finds those. So
Mhm.
he's on the
Nice.
he's on the hunt, and then he'll send me pictures of other bourbons. Oh, I found this one. I'm like, yeah, that's cute. Keep shopping.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
want
and
that one.
there is, I think, at least one, maybe uh, two different liquor store chains in Alberta have their own barrel picks from Still Austin right now.
Yes, and Hayden
There's
Block one.
nice.
I helped
So
pick
that
it
is something
too,
that we may be able to do in the future ourselves as well.
for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we can convince them that we need to actually go down there and try it in person
Think we
to
do.
really decide.
This fall, I think.
I've never visited Austin and I'd love to. So,
Me too. Yeah.
well,
No,
back
that's a really good
to
one. I really like that.
yeah, back to the nail
Number,
polish.
oh yeah, number 7. Oh, good, Jeff. I'm glad you liked it. They did a tasting of the Still Austin at Hayden Block, and we tried the 3 core and 4 single
Cool.
casks. And we didn't know at the time, but our reviews of that single cask determined that bottle. And it was a really fun tasting.
Cool. Doug says or his iPad at least says, I bottle guessed 7 without seeing. Very cool. This
Ooh,
is not, I don't know what I expected from this one, but this was not it.
me either.
It makes me, so this is a single barrel. It makes me want to try other single barrels in the future just to see if it changes or not. But even given other single barrels that I've had from not this company, but not this style of whiskey, have been very different. Would not have guessed what this is, but it's intriguing for sure. Has it changed for you at all, Harmony?
Yeah, it's a little less polished than I remembered. I still, it's super high in alcohol, and I think
Yeah.
that's what's kind of covering up um its character a little bit. I just
Well, the
added a
nail
few more.
polish on the palate does like switch over to cherries, like
It
mid
does.
palate or something. Yeah.
It doesn't have the standard banana that this one often gives me, which I'm happy for.
Yeah.
What's the point
I-
in doing single barrels if they're all the same?
yeah. Um, yeah, just added a few drops of water. It does go a little bit more mapley on the
Hmm.
nose, which makes sense. And actually, I think the nose is better with water. That acetone nail polish note has gone away quite a bit for me. So this one is, and it seems like at least one person has guessed it. This is Jack Daniel's single barrel rye, barrel proof. So 64.95% alcohol for this barrel. I think they did get one barrel in for, I think it was just for Alberta. I don't know if any of this was divvied up into BC. I think BC got their own barrel. So you might
Cool.
get different stuff in different places. But cool that we're seeing a barrel proof version of Jack Daniels. And I will admit too that I'm possibly in the minority. I did not like Jack Daniels single barrel rye at 47% alcohol either. Just found it kind of dull. Um, but I absolutely love the single barrel Tennessee whiskey barrel proof. I've had a few different bottlings of it, never had a bad barrel, and it tends to be tremendous. I think water does help this one quite a bit for me, but your
Yeah, it
mileage may
did.
vary.
No, it changed it a lot, and I really like it with some water. Um, I think this is one of those
Mhm.
bottles where the first pour just needs to come out of the bottle to let the air in,
Yeah,
just
good
rest.
call.
Like I think this is a really nice rye, that which is actually surprising that I didn't pick up that it was rye at all, just because it was just
Yeah.
so much alcohol. Um, because yeah, I like it, and I think it's going to
Yeah.
get better with some time and some air. Yeah.
It reminds me right now of those donuts with sugar on top and then like the strawberry filling, the
Oh
jam
yeah.
filling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very donutty right now.
Well,
Jeff's calling you out for lion currently, by the way.
well, I mean, I have to save some suspense.
That's right. So this is the second, second and a half, I guess, since we talked about the Old Forester 1924, which isn't in tonight's lineup. But this is the second bottle where we held back from putting it all on the shelf and kept some for the tasting. If you are interested in the bottle after the end of the tasting here, email Harmony, and hopefully by a lottery you'll be able to get one, or maybe it won't hit lottery. We'll see.
Maybe not. Phil really likes it and he wants all of it on the floor right now. He's
Nice.
mad. I can see him
Yeah.
pouting. Why'd you put this in my glass?
Yeah. Is that Phil and Suzanne? Is that
Oh, there's still some left.
a joint
Still,
decision there, or is that one of you talking there?
yeah, it's joint. They're on the same page today.
Yeah.
They
Ruth and
generally
David
are.
M. Yeah, Ruth and David M. say Glenmorgan Bakery have the best jelly donuts. Glenmorgan Bakery, I think, has the best of a lot of things.
I've
Honestly.
never heard of this. Where is this bakery?
Oh, it's we've gotten cakes and stuff for the shop from there before.
My birthday cake came from there. Is that
It might have.
Oh,
Yeah.
that cake was amazing.
Yeah, they're really good.
All right, Googling. Going to the Google.
Okay, last but not least for the reveal, number 8, which took us out of rye territory and back into bourbon.
Jeff, I love that you did a cheese buns post, but you didn't bring
Nice.
me any tea, and I've been promised tea from you for a while
Oh,
now.
Jeff.
Maybe if I dye my hair blue or purple, I'll get some tea.
Yeah.
But I've never dyed my hair. It's too flat for that. Pink. Pink is my favorite color.
So this is another one of the bottles where we essentially brought it in because we figured we'd put it in a tasting.
Mm.
And I'm really surprised at what the cask finish is on this, because I never would guess it blind.
I forgot we put this in here, and I know
Yeah.
that's why we ordered it.
Yep.
I like this. I'm
Me
glad
too.
that I liked it because I wasn't a huge, I didn't give the first one we brought in a good chance,
Mhm.
but I do really like this.
It's a cool bourbon, but it does
Mhm.
not come off as a PX cask finish right now for me. And I feel like I've tried it on its own and it has. So it could be just in the lineup itself that's changing
Yeah.
things, but
Yeah.
regardless, I think it's cool, and it does have some really nice cigar-like notes to it right now too.
Yeah.
This is the second bottling of Starlight, which Jeff actually mentioned when we were talking about this. When I mentioned that it had a bit of an Amberana cigar note to it. This is Starlight Carl T. Huber's Bourbon PX cask finish. This is a PX cask that was bottled and selected by the importers, I believe, just for Canada. So we have a few bottles of it. We may be able to get more. $125 for this. Starlight Distillery is just another distillery that's quite small, but is doing very cool stuff. And this is all their own juice from locally grown grains. Yeah, just another really cool young distillery that's thanks to being in Alberta and having a cool importer behind it that likes working with small operations and bringing stuff in that we can't get otherwise. We got some Starlight Distillery.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is cool. I like trying new things. I like what the agency brings in. I think they find some really cool unicorns. As far as what we're able to get our hands on, I know there's so much available in the US that we'll never see. But this is a distillery, a bottler, however you want to look at it, that does, I think, pretty good things. And some of the other items they've brought into the province have also had some really good reviews. I thought, as our clientele is a majority single malt drinker, or at least that's what we like to tell ourselves, that bringing in a bourbon finished in the PX would be appealing. And
Totally.
I think it is. And I think they did a really good job. It's not overly dominated by the cask. I think it shows really well. It's still
no, which I think is a good thing, because PX can be so dominating in some cases, and the fact that the bourbon still sings in here, and you can still get the grain notes, which is fantastic.
I was
they
surprised.
did a great job with it.
Like at the color and how they kind of talked it up. I was a little nervous that it was going to be like drinking a bottle of sherry. Um,
Yep.
I'm happy to say that it's not. I'm happy to find that it's more than that. And I've really enjoyed it. It's probably coming home
Absolutely.
with me with the many other bottles I have on hold.
Hmm. That's right.
I think I might be able to
Well,
squeeze one or two more in my cabinet.
well, we
Shall we
are
do
going on
a
here.
vote, a poll for our reveals? I know,
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if I can. Yes, I can launch a second poll here. Perfect. So here
yeah,
is the
if
reveal
you're
poll.
sharing a camera and you want your own vote, you'll have to sign in and real quick and vote yourself.
Mhm.
Otherwise, argue.
Harmony, well, everybody is voting. Second time through, what are your two favorites?
Ah, snap! I knew you were gonna say that. Well, whiskey one is empty. I'm not sure if that's because it was
Hmm.
closed up and I was hunting for it, but I still really love four. I still really like six, and eight surprised me as the night went on.
Same.
And I like one
Um,
as well.
yeah. Yeah, I think for me, the standouts, and there was only one that was like, I don't know if I'd jump out and buy a bottle in this one, but 6 and 1 were my favorites the first round. I think I'm gonna drop one, although I still do really enjoy it, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
switch it to 6 and 8,
Nice.
with honorable mentions to number 1 and 2.
Ooh,
Two that again, I'm not. I usually don't raw uh, Taylor too much in Buffalo Trace, but man, that is a good bottle. There's no denying it. It's such a just a solid bourbon lover's bourbon. Um, so that number 2 is great. Still love the redemption, but that Starlight I think shows better and better as it gets in the glass. The number 8 there, and number 6 is just a gorgeous rye. That was a super fun lineup.
yeah, that was fun. It turned out really well. It cost me some money now that I know what's in here.
That's right. Now that you're
But now
moved,
that I'm saving money on rent, I can afford more
yeah,
bourbon again.
yeah. With all that space that you don't have.
Oh my God, right? Yeah, yeah. That's okay. I just need to have more people over to drink my whiskey. And
That's right.
with the communal area, they've told me that I will be doing whiskey tastings on the regular.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I have a lot to share. So
Maybe you can get a rent discount along with that or something.
but maybe if I give away the whiskey, they won't charge me for the
Hmm.
space. Hmm.
Yeah. So for the votes, I just shared the results there. For first favorite, wow, a rye took it.
What?
Still
I
are
can't
Austin the
believe.
artist rye.
Yes,
Good choice, folks. There's a lot of good whiskey in this one, but
there
I'm pretty
really is.
happy that won. Uh, Tied for second are the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Rye and the Old Forester 1910. I feel like the Jack Daniels probably would have gotten more votes if I didn't say nail polish all the time, so that's my bad. Um, but I'm glad you guys either completely ignored me or saw through my idiocy and gave it some votes. So that's good. Again, if you're looking for a bottle, email Harmony. We do have a couple held back. Second favorite of the night, Starlight Carl T PX took it with 4 votes, which is very cool. And then a 4-way tie with 1 vote between Redemption, E.H. Taylor, Knob Creek 12. Very cool that got a couple votes there, and still Austin the Artist Rye. Cool. Well,
Yeah,
that was a fun lineup.
that was good. I'm really
Yeah.
so funny. We have 90 minutes to slam up these tastings, and usually by the time I'm done and I'm nosing my glass, my opinions change again.
Yeah.
And the Yellowstone is really showing beautifully
Cool.
right now. Again,
Yeah.
which is like, don't judge the whiskey on the first sip or the first glass, and like open it, let it breathe, pour that first bit out and drink it and let it rest, right? That's how I felt about our Amrut cask, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that I've revisited it. It's beautiful. I love it. It's just a beast coming out of the bottle, and it just gets better with time. So
Yeah, Yellowstone is fun stuff. I'm super interested in the limestone branch stuff we've gotten so far because it tends to have
yeah,
this dry, austere, but still super approachable edge to it that you don't necessarily think of bourbon getting. where it tends to be like super juicy and expressive, but they're so well put together, and that toasted stave just kind of gives it another dimension on this one. Still love that redemption. That's such a fun bourbon there, that
It
weeder.
really is.
Yeah. So I have to run. Thank
Me
you all for
too.
coming. Jeff and a few others that didn't get your kits in time. I'm sorry that we didn't get them to you in time, but hopefully you do get to enjoy your stuff soon.
Jeff, why didn't you pick it up? You can travel on the plane with it. Oh, you silly, silly man. Anyway,
Jeff,
yeah,
it's all
super
good.
fun.
We were and Jeff showed up, man. Like it was really cool to see you here
Oh, so
last
good.
week and pouring at our Canadian whiskey tasting.
The
I
reviews were
honestly
great.
didn't know you existed, and a lot of people didn't know you existed outside of the screen, and we're super happy to see you. So
He's
it was cool
really
to have you, man.
tall, if you guys aren't
Super
aware.
tall.
He's
Yeah.
very tall. Yeah. I just thought he was like maybe like 2.5 feet tall, but
Yeah.
he's quite a bit taller. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us
Yeah.
for Blinded by Bourbon. I hope we can do another one soon and
Yeah.
surprise you with some great rye.
Well, I think we may have
Our
to
rye
listen to Jeff
tasting
on the next one and
stuff.
do a blinded by Scotch. I think that
Oh yeah,
that is a
yeah.
great idea. So we'll have
Oh,
to
we
talk
got
about
thumbs
that some
up. You
more.
guys better sign up. We'll do
Yeah,
blinded.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Phil,
All right.
we know your trouble. You never sign up
Yeah,
for
that's
anything.
right.
It's all Sue.
Take care, guys.
Good
Have a
night.
great night.